This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 123.
Welcome to Comic Geek Speak. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Shane Kelly.
I'm Jamie D.
I'm Peter Rios.
Oh, great Odin's Raven!
It makes me laugh every time.
Oh, yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Wild Pig Comics, www.wildpigcomics.com. They're holding a 24-hour 50% off sale.
How many hours? How many hours in a row is that?
24! What? From noon on Saturday, April 8th, to noon on Sunday, April 9th.
See, it's 24 hours, but it's not
In a
consecutive.
row. Yeah, 24 hours, not in a row.
Every item on the sales floor will be 50% off. They have 30,000 back issues.
Holy cow, 30,000.
Thousands of 50-cent books. You're throwing me off. And
on, you're
over
the
1,000 trades.
1,000 trades.
Hundreds of statues, toys, and T-shirts. Saturday and Sunday.
Sunday, fun day, Sunday.
Also appearing will be up-and-coming indie artist Danielle Corsetto of girlswithslingshots.com. Shane, you got your laptop. Go to that, because I've yet to go to that site.
Girls for slingshots.
Girls with Slingshots.
That's slingshots, not the other thing.
They're located 14 South Michigan Avenue in Kenilworth, New Jersey, minutes from Route 22 East and the Garden State Parkway, exit 138. For further info, go to their website, wildpigcomics.com. You can also call 908-936-0004. And we got a train going, right? Shane's going, and Brian's going.
We're going.
Yep.
A friend of the show, Brian, is going. Jamie's going, yes. And,
Yes,
I
pretty
guess
sure.
Kevin and maybe
Oh,
Matt.
I think I'm going. I might not be able to go.
Uh-oh. What do you got on a Saturday?
My brother might be coming over to help me redo the floor in the dining room.
Yeah, bring him along.
You don't have to stay.
Yeah. Ah, crap. I just remembered that.
Tell him I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
I might give Shane $20 and tell him to buy me some stuff.
Did you pull the site up? Is there anything on there?
Comics.
Oh, it's like
Like a webcomic
webcomic strip site.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't navigate around any, but
Mhm.
that's the homepage.
That's cool.
I bookmarked it. Check it
All
out.
right, so that's Wild Pig Comics. That's, once again, noon on Saturday, April 8th, to noon on Sunday, April 9th. Anybody in the PA, New Jersey, New York area, anywhere around that Route 22, that exit 138, Garden State Parkway, get there. Oh, and
say, Peter, what
yeah.
do you get if you mention CGS?
If you mention that you heard their ad on CGS, you will get an extra $5 off. So, buy $5 worth of stuff.
Super.
Tell them you heard it on
CGS,
CGS. You get
walk out with free stuff.
I guess, right? No,
Or
don't do
give
that.
him false information. Yeah.
Right. Don't do that.
I buy $5.50
Like
worth of comics.
any comic fan can go into a store at 50% off and just buy $5. Wow.
Yeah, that's impossible.
Although that's $10 worth of 50-cent books.
Yeah.
It's 20 books. Yeah, that's pretty good.
We got an email. This one's from Chris Hutchins. He says, I wanted to drop a quick email of admiration. I've been a listener since back in the Batfeed days when Comic Rants, you guys and Neil Gorman were just getting your feet wet. I love your show. You guys continually amaze me with your comics knowledge and the great one-liners. Keep up the great work. I've recently launched my sci-fi podcast novel, Seventh Son, and would like if you'd take a gander at the bumper I recorded. Oh, I guess I should read these emails more carefully ahead of time, right? You actually recorded this, but it's a podcast novel that you subscribe to, and each.
They're very popular.
Hi, this is J.C. Hutchins, author of the new podcast novel, Seventh Son. When I'm not hermetically sealing my 20-second printing of Identity Crisis number 6, I'm listening to Comic Geek Speak. Gru, Love, and Brian, Dancing Machine Peter, and my personal shiznit pimp, Jamie D, and the other CGSers give me up-to-the-minute news and reviews on comics, toys, and much more. So keep listening to Comic Geek Speak and posting on their forum. And when you're done writing up your fruitless Stump the Rios questions, check out my podcast thriller novel at jchutchins.net and podiobooks.com. It's about human cloning and global destruction.
Cool. Yeah, those things have really caught on now.
Yeah.
And Scott Sigler was the guy who kind of started the first one. Earth Core was the first big one, and then but it's cool because each episode is a chapter, and it's of course read by the guy, so you don't have to read it. You just listen, and it's free. So what the hell?
Does he have the website listed there?
jchutchins.net. HUTCHINS.net.
And that's a cool promo too.
And it was
that's good.
Yeah, we have to play that again sometime.
So check it out.
We should say that this is a new month. This is April, so get those votes in at Podcast Alley.
Yeah, I gotta, the last month, man, March, we only had like 140 votes or something, and it's, we know we have like 3,000 listeners, and we have, it's like 600 people actively posting on the forum, and we only had 143 votes. So it makes a big difference to us if you vote, and you just have to go to comicgeekspeak.com/vote, and it takes 2 seconds, and it really would help us out a lot if we could get our numbers high. If we could have a month where we had 600 votes, it would be it would be incredible, and it would make a big difference to us. We'd get some notice, and things could happen. It could help help the show along a lot. So if you're listening and you can remember to go near your computer, just go to comicgeekspeak.com/vote, and let's see if April we can't get, let's say, 500 votes. Okay, that's not that many people. We have more people than that who post on the forum. So please help us out.
How many did you say we had for March?
Like 140 or 143 or something.
You're gonna have 144.
What the hell should we do next?
I was waiting for the end of the month to give it that extra push.
Extra push. Yeah, by that time they it's everybody has voted, so it's harder to get
That's the thing.
push
If you can
get,
get on the top 10 early, you can probably stay in the top 10 because you get more exposure. That's the thing. If we can just crack the top 10, people who never heard of us will finally see us and say, "Oh, who are these guys?" And that's why it's kind of important to get that many votes and to get it early and maintain it to stay in the top 10.
Done.
All right. Want to go do our? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say should we do another fan art challenge?
Oh yeah.
We had Cosmic, and I saw some Thanos, and I saw some Darkseid and Silver Surfer, and there was a Howard the Duck. I guess he maybe qualifies as Cosmic, and so those were great. Again, if you want to see these examples, you can go to our forum, and there's a fan art challenge thread that's always at the top, and you can see them. And then we're also asking people now to post them to a Flickr group as well. There's a CGS fan art Flickr group, and then everyone can see them and get shared more easily.
How about we go really just off the track and just do your an off the wall image style drawing.
Oh boy!
Like in the
like 1992.
Yeah, like a just total
Of your favorite super pet.
super pet.
Women with 4 feet legs and 2 feet bodies.
Yeah, and spikes and pouches and flashing
Boobs.
eyes and
Big square guns with no triggers. How do you shoot that damn thing?
What should we just say? Just any character image style, or like should we pick a character like
Your favorite Rob Liefeld character.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Nobody has that.
Why not? It's April,
Why not?
right?
It's
April. That sounds good. I like that.
There you go. So you got anything to choose. Youngblood, you got Supreme, Brigade.
All the X Factor.
You got Battlestar
Yeah, that's
Galactica
right, that's
because
true.
he
Or not
pitched
X
them through
Factor,
Max.
X-Force, I
X-Force,
mean,
X-Force,
and
Yeah.
technically
Yeah.
New Mutants could fall
New
in there.
Mutants,
Yeah.
Hawk and Dove,
Cable.
Cable.
Teen Titans.
Oh, I can just see the Jeffrey Steven cable now.
Oh, you're just gonna see a head surrounded by paraphernalia
That's right.
And no background.
and no feet.
You just speed lines.
See Youngblood, Extreme Youngblood, Super Extreme Youngblood, Super Secret Extreme
Team
Team
Youngblood. Ooh,
Youngblood Files.
there you go.
Blood Strike Force,
Oh, I
I
forgot
wanna
about
see a-
Bloodstrike.
Blunt Force.
I want to see a Battlestar Galactica Cylon out of that when he did Maximum Press stuff.
He did that.
Yeah, he bought the rights to that and put it out.
And you could draw Captain America with a giant chest.
I was going to say fighting. You could do Fighting American
and a goofy emblem on his hood helmet thing.
Wow, we're having way too much fun.
I'm just picturing that
Captain America.
that freaking side shot of Captain America with like the chest you could put a tray on, and
The little bitty waist.
Oh,
yeah, that's a weird picture.
That picture scares me.
They've animated it so it like bulges. It goes. Yeah. Sorry, Rob.
Oh man.
I'm not.
Yeah, but you know what? He makes it so easy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes, April Fool's, your favorite Liefeld character.
There you go.
That's a good one. I like that idea.
And we're not going to change it, guys. So if you're waiting for us, in a
Yeah,
week,
no, April
say,
Fool's.
This ain't no
was totally
joke.
a joke. This is what you got.
What do you got?
I don't know. What do you got?
Oh, I thought you were queuing something
Stuff
up.
and things.
Oh.
Let's go back to Marvel events. Let's go back and let's just get it out of the way here.
Jump into the Wayback Machine and go back 10 years.
Going back to
14 years.
14. My God.
Executioner Song.
What website did you pull that from?
This one I actually is from UncannyXmen.net. Thank those guys for. I just needed some clarification on some things, and they had the crossover.
Going
list.
to outside resources,
There
Peter?
we go.
Oh,
I don't have this in
I'm
my
just
collection
kidding.
anymore. I sold this baby.
I'm just
a long
busting your
time
onions.
ago.
Settle
There you
down.
go.
I've got it sporadically through my collection.
So Executioner Song was the 92-93 X-Men event. And oh, what an event it was. 12 parts with an epilogue.
All polybagged.
Yeah.
With cards.
Yeah. Who was it? Was it Skybox that they went to? And
I think so. Well, they had bought Skybox. So.
oh, that's okay. And each one was they were part of Strife's...
Strike file.
Strike File. Say that 10 times fast. Speaking of Rob Liefeld, by the way.
Yeah.
And each one was like, it had a hero one and then like a chosen and something else. Like they were like divided up, and oh man, they were. One of mine actually came, the one that's polybagged with Apocalypse, the Apocalypse card, had 2 Apocalypse cards in it. Ooh. I actually did thought when I saw it, I went, oh, maybe I shouldn't open it. You know, maybe this is, I got 2, but of course I opened
Maybe
it.
it'll be worth something
Yeah,
later.
right.
You dumbass.
So the whole premise behind it was Xavier is making a speech. He gets shot, and the person that shoots him looks like Cable. So everybody thinks it's Cable. And there's mass chaos, and you know, it involves X Factor and X-Men and X Force, and also I should say the 2 teams of X-Men, the Uncanny and the regular, the Blue and Gold.
Blue and gold.
Yeah, and
I still like that concept, though.
yeah, kept them separate, kept them out of all being in one book. Xavier's dying basically from the shot, and there's this techno-organic virus that is ravaging his body, and of course the Beast and Moira McTaggart, they're both trying their best to try to stop the virus, but it ain't working. So along the way, Wolverine and Bishop, they get the idea that they're going to go, you know, after Cable. He convinces them it wasn't him. The Dark Riders are there. They wake up Apocalypse because it's being done in his name, and so they're like, you know, we got to wake him up. Xavier was shot by his name. So Apocalypse actually helps the X-Men when it comes to fixing Xavier by so cleverly speeding up the techno-organic virus in his body that it burns out. Beautiful. Great. And
why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, Cyclops and Jean Grey are stolen away by Strife. This is when you finally, like, I guess it finally came out, you know, that, you know, Strife wasn't, even though Strife looked like Cable, they finally made it clear that Cable was the actual real person and Strife was the clone or something like that. There was a big battle up on the moon. Cable and Strife everybody thought they both died by the end of it. And basically that, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the middle, but that's the idea of it.
And a whole lot of the crap in.
It ran through, in order, Uncanny X-Men 294, X-Factor 84, X-Men 14, X-Force 16, Uncanny 295, X-Factor 85, X-Men 15, X-Force 17, Uncanny 296, X-Factor 86, X-Men 16, X-Force 18, and an epilogue in Uncanny 297. think each title had 3 that comes out to 3 parts of it.
Yeah. So, who here read? Everybody has read that?
I read
it, and I couldn't tell you a damn thing about it.
Me too.
It was years ago, so yeah.
It just was. I remember at the time getting it like so sucked into the polybag thing, and I mean I opened them, but it wasn't.
Oh,
that,
I did too.
It wasn't that I thought they were going to become.
I think I bought
popular.
2 of each so that I could keep one sealed.
Probably,
and
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I did.
Well, I think that was my first
Sorry.
big X-Men crossover that I read through.
Oh, you tell
Because
that
at that time I was not
Yeah.
much of a Marvel reader other than Spider-Man at all. And I was at the store that I used to go to in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and the guy that worked behind the counter that befriended me said, hey, pick this up. It's a new event. Might be a good place to jump on. And also, just around that time, Jim Lee's X-Men run was only just barely a year old, just over a year old. So that's where I started with my X-Men, and then went backwards to get a bunch of issues. I think I went back immediately right to where the Blue and Team Gold came about. And then everything after that, I got for a lot of years. I was reading X-Men.
Yeah, it was very high on the energy factor, and just the coincidence factor was high too, because people would pop up and villains would pop up, and they battle, and then nothing would happen until the next issue, and then something else, and this and that, and a lot of gnashing of teeth because Beast and Mora couldn't figure out what was going on until Apocalypse came in, and but I remember enjoying it at the time. It'd be interesting to read it again and see what the hell.
It really wouldn't.
I don't know, because it's such a product of the time.
Yeah,
It's such a product of the early '90s.
Well, and I remember reading it and being excited while I'm reading it, but the end came and going,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But I had to get the strike file.
Oh, I still have the strike file.
I still do too.
Yeah, the original, because there was a couple printings of it. I still have
I had the
first
original
printing
one.
of that.
Has that been traded?
As far as I know, it's the original.
I don't know. I was going to ask Shane to see if that's been traded on Instock.
I shall look.
I mean, with only being 12 parts, or maybe you could even say 13, I guess.
It's a perfect trade.
Could be, yeah. I mean, if they can trade Avengers Forever, they should be able to trade this.
Yeah, but that was actually better, sort of.
Just a little bit, you think?
There
Just
was
a little.
I can't remember the artwork not being horrible. There were one or two
Oh, no,
chapters that
yeah.
were kind of just typical of that time, but some of them were actually pretty decent. And of course, the big thing that happened at the end was Strife managed to. He was working a deal with Mr. Sinister to give Cyclops and Jean Grey over to Strife, and he gave him this canister, and the canister, when it was opened, there was nothing in it. And lo and behold, it was the big legacy virus that was unleashed at the end of it.
I looked it up, and the first thing I got is Batman illustrated by Neil Adams and Batman Adventures from the animated series. So I think I screwed something up.
Oh. So it was just a scene with Sinister cracking it open this canister with his assistant, and the assistant starts coughing, and Sinister's like, "You should really get that checked out." And next thing you know, for the next couple months, it was this huge legacy virus thing, and which was interesting. I mean, what'd you think about that, Jamie, when reading that legacy virus stuff?
Again, I just in one ear and out the other. It was
Really?
just one of those where, at the time, I was reading so much stuff. Being at the store, I always felt I had to keep up with everything that was going on, and at that time it was the X books were big, so I had to read them, and it was almost at that point it almost became work to read, and you never, at least for me, I never remember anything when it becomes work for me to do.
Right.
If it's something I'm enjoying reading and I want to read it for the love of reading it, I will remember it. But when it comes to stuff that I'm just reading to read it, it goes one in your. And I'll remember it for a month or so. But you just read that synopsis, and I didn't remember half of it, honestly. And I know I have all the issues.
You
at
just
the
read the
house.
synopsis? I don't remember the synopsis.
The what? He read a what?
I kind of liked the legacy virus thing, though.
Well, it was interesting, but then there goes the whole parallel where I said a while ago to the mutants and the mutant in the Marvel universe compared to the gay and the legacy virus was your AIDS, killing off mutants.
Right.
And that's really, I thought, where they came to push that whole mutant as a parable for being gay, and then the legacy virus, like I just said, AIDS. It was killing off strictly mutants, and you had to be a mutant to get it.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, the AIDS virus isn't quite that discriminatory. It will go where it goes, but that to me, they were really pushing that parable.
I thought it was interesting that they were that somebody okayed that. You know what I mean? Because it was an obvious parallel, and then they allowed, and they got a few decent stories out of it. Actually, I thought.
It's funny because I never thought about that ever.
Yeah.
No, I didn't
when
either.
you just said, I was like, I never crossed my mind.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as it came out, it was like the legacy virus, and it's only affecting mutant. And it was kind of like, wow,
because it was at the height of the AIDS crisis.
Yeah.
Where that was big and in the news all the time. And I agree. It's, like Peter was saying, as soon as that came out, that was the first thing that popped right in my head.
See, I just thought of it like, well, they're mutants, so their genetics are different, so it's very plausible for a virus to only affect certain genetics. Just like a human can get AIDS, but a dog can't because their genetics are different or whatever. So
right.
It's like that wouldn't never crossed my mind that it was another insight into the brain of Brian Damer.
On in stock trades, there is a trade paperback. It is $24.95. Their list price is $16.22, 35% off. So, but it is there.
Do they have like some of the artists?
The Kubert brothers, definitely.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, nothing's listed.
I even want to say Brandon Peterson even did a few. I think, I'm not sure, but
Jim Lee was
still gone by this.
Was he?
Yeah,
was
I think, yeah, because this is X-Men 15. He was out the door pretty much, if not now, soon.
Okay.
Because I don't remember him. So I almost think the one of the Kubert brother took over for us.
All right. Well,
what's that thing that we keep pushing on our website?
comicdb.com.
Yeah, I'm on there right now. What do you want
Check
me to look
out
up?
regular. They're just
Regular.
X-Men.
I've got X-Men number 14, Fabian Nicieza,
Nicieza.
Adam Kubert, penciler,
Okay.
Mark Pennington, inker, Louis Buhalis,
the Kubert
letters.
brothers were doing both
Both
of
of them, yeah.
So that's X-Men, the regular X-Men.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Andy was doing Uncanny.
I mean, the good thing for this was it got rid of Strife. I mean, I don't know if it got rid of him permanently, but it got, at least for a while, it got rid of him.
So
Brandon
the first
Peterson.
Executioner song is number 14.
Brandon Peterson was doing Uncanny.
Uncanny, okay.
Andy Kubert was drawn the number 14 of X-Men.
Who was doing, check out, see if they have, Uncanny X-Men 296. Or did you say Peterson was?
Peterson was on 294.
Okay.
Still on 296
Or
as
X
well.
Factor 86.
86.
The other thing it did by the end was...
That's Jay Lee.
Yep,
Jay Lee. Wow.
Yeah.
Peter David wrote that.
So that was Peter David. Then
For a while, Xavier could walk again after this because the techno-organic virus was in him and it healed him or something.
It fixed his back.
Yeah, and then he could walk for a little bit. Some of the other things that happened.
I take a little aside there. The whole Xavier not walking thing, that really seems so insane to me. I can understand that his body is paralyzed or whatever. Okay, that's fine. That happens. But Forge and all these things that they make and all these machines and all these crazy psychic link things, because all being paralyzed is the nerve can't communicate with the brain. Well, they couldn't come, all the stuff they couldn't come up with. Some Forge couldn't develop something that his nerves communicate, even if he has to wear some exoskeleton suit like Iron Man or something. Come on, Xavier can't walk around. He's got to sit in that wheelchair. They got more tech than anybody in the world. They're already doing this stuff in real life where they're making paralyzed people have movement again because of computers and chips and stuff. It's come on.
Am I thinking right also that this is a clone of Xavier from some previous thing that happened?
Well, he got a different body way back in the Chris Claremont days, right? Something happened up in Shi'ar space, and that's why he could walk in...
Well, I just thought he went into space and then he came back eventually. I didn't think he died or anything. It was just a matter of he was dying.
If anybody knows that, I kind of remember around this time hearing that.
And he went out there, and then eventually he came back, but I don't remember him getting a new body.
Why could he walk again for Secret Wars and all that? Wasn't that...
Because they healed him with the alien... I thought with the alien technology and whatever they had out there, they healed him. But or was it just the fact that they were on the Secret Wars world and he could do anything he wanted?
No, he was walking before that.
Okay.
Because there was that New Mutants special, that Christmas issue where he stood up.
This is the days when I wish Kevin was here, because he would definitely remember. But yeah, I think it was just he went out into space and he came back, and that was the big reveal when they opened the door of the Shi'ar cruiser, and out walked Xavier with Lilandra, and that was, he can walk, and it was just like, yes, I was saved by alien technology and their healing powers.
But you'd lose the whole thing of him is that it's that paradox that he has the world's greatest brain.
I know.
In a body that just won't work.
But it's just that look at the danger, the technology involved in making the danger room happen. Yet they can't figure out how to make this guy walk.
Maybe
it's
also
so ridiculous.
Wouldn't want to walk just because of who he is, and the fact that you don't want to change.
Humility.
Don't want to change from a mutant to what a normal human would be. He's paralyzed, so he just accepts it because he is a mutant in other capacities.
And they also say that about Barbara Gordon in the DC universe. Why? Because I think she even actually said that, I know that there are ways, but she's choosing to stay.
Well, now again, I'm behind on some of my DC stuff, but that one of the last issues of Birds of Prey, she could start moving her toes again or something. But I think she's still in a wheelchair. But I didn't know what happened. Anyway, totally wrong universe.
Obviously it's just comics and it's all fake, but it's just funny. To me, it stands out as one of those giant problems in the continuity or whatever.
In the Birds of Prey TV show, she walked with an exoskeleton that she built.
By the way, this Uncanny X-Men number 297 was lettered by Chris Eliopoulos.
Wow.
It all comes together. See it all
right. Comes right back to CGS.
The other thing that happened, Archangel finally confronted Apocalypse during this crossover. Obviously because Archangel was changed by Apocalypse, and they touched on that a little bit in this series. Trying to think of some other things that happened after. Cyclops took a leave of absence to visit his grandparents in Alaska and to finally tell them the truth about Madeline and the baby, which was Cable, obviously.
Oh, I kind of remember that, him going off.
I think that's... Oh, no, that's later. Okay, that's later.
God, I gotta go back and look at my X-Men stuff. Jeez.
I can, I kind of... It's not the best crossover, obviously. I would be interested in actually reading this again, so I'm going to have to borrow this from somebody. Because I sold those things
trade. You sold them? That's your
ago.
fault. You bought the trade.
I sold them. Probably got a decent amount.
You probably did. I tried and sell them. I'd get like a penny.
I'll get to it when the Essential X-Men get back to it, which is kind of silly because I got the color comics sitting in there. I could read them, but I just finished reading the last. I think it was number 5 or number 6. I don't know, whichever the one was the newest one of Essential X-Men, and it had that the thing with the Marauders in it.
Oh, Mutant Massacre.
Yeah, Mutant Massacre. It was funny because we talked about it about a week before I got to those issues, and they had the whole thing. They had all of them in, including the Thor issues and some other stuff, all in the Uncanny X-Men, in the X-Men Essentials. So I got to read the whole storyline.
Did you like
I wonder if they omit that.
Yeah, it was decent. Yeah.
If they omit that from the Thor Essentials, if they would do that.
They aren't even close to that.
They're
Thor Essentials.
Well, I know, but I mean, I just wonder if they would omit them or if they include them.
That's one of the things with the Essentials. They will include whatever crossovers.
That's good. I didn't know that about them.
It's one more way they can pad them out and make them last longer.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense.
I mean, the Defenders one there are a couple issues of the Avengers in it. I know in the just trying to think what the last one, the Moon Knight one has the Werewolf by Night story in it. The Werewolf by Night has the Moon Knight stories in it.
Oh, that's great.
And when we read the Tomb of Dracula, it had that crossover in it. So Essentials do.
I do wonder if they would put him in because he doesn't appear in some of those other X-Men. Because isn't that the thing? They have to at least appear in it.
Who?
Like Thor didn't appear in all the X-Men Mutant Massacre issues. It was pretty much just that he was in the Thor issue.
No, with that one they might not, because a majority of them, you're right, is not Thor.
It's not. Yeah.
They might just have that issue because if I remember correctly, you could almost read that one standalone, and not really miss anything. Because I was
Right.
reading the Thor at that time.
Were the X-Men in the Thor issue that you read? Do you remember?
Well, Wolverine, was in it,
I think so.
and then Power Pack, and it was that
Right.
whole business, and because there was a Power Pack issue,
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
or two
yeah.
Power Pack issues, or whatever.
So that makes sense
Yeah.
to then include that, I guess. Yeah.
Maybe they would just include like the Power Pack issue that tied in with the Thor or something,
yeah.
and then leave the rest of it out of it or something.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, they got it'll be 15 years before they get caught up to that.
I think they're still reprinting Journey into Mysteries
Yikes.
without the Thor title.
All right, so then we can move on to the X-Men Fatal Attractions, also from 1993. Not technically a crossover, more a theme, I guess you could say. And this was in X-Factor 92, X-Force 25, Uncanny X-Men 304, X-Men 25, Wolverine 75, and Excalibur 71. And the whole thing here...
Prism
covers... Prism or
Holographic.
normal covers, you could depend on which one you get.
Yeah,
Of course,
holographic.
I got the Prism ones. Yeah,
holographic prisms.
so stupid. And I got sucked into
I
it
actually
too.
liked it though. I like the little 3D
yeah,
things.
they're kind of cardstock.
The next fancy
covers.
cover I buy better be one that gives me a hand job.
Oh, Jesus! Hello, Matt. So the whole thing here was each title. Basically, there was some kind of something happened that kind of moved it into not a new direction, but just something major happened to kind of steer things off the beaten track. The beaten track, whatever. What did I say?
That's what you said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was going with my
back to
previous
hand
theme.
job.
Magneto has his group of mutants called the Acolytes, and they're causing trouble all over the place. So in X Factor, they come and they slaughter all these people in a hospital, basically just to get the attention of X Factor and to approach Quicksilver. And the main acolyte, Fabian Cortez, approaches him to invite him to become the new acolyte leader. And, of course, Quicksilver declines. And then there's X Factor 25.
For those of you who don't know, Quicksilver is Magneto's
son. Thank you. I should have said that right. They meet in X-Force 25. They meet this new character called Exodus, and that was the big thing. It was like, who's this
Yeah,
character? Remember him?
That's right.
It's like Exodus. Whoa, he's like this all-powerful mutant, and he comes to invite them also to Magneto's side. The whole thing is like a conflict between ideologies and things, and he actually gets Richter and Boomer and Rusty and Skids to go along with it.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, they said Boomer.
Boomer. Oh,
I thought it was Boom Boom.
I think she was Boomer at one time, wasn't she? Boomer, I forget. She had so many Boom
Yeah.
meltdown. She was all kinds of
What character?
Boom Boom.
Chick.
And I think Rusty and Skids actually stay with the Acolytes then. Then let's see what happens then. Avalon, the home base for Magneto is
I was trying
Avalon,
to think of what that name was.
and it was Cable's old headquarters, the Grey Malkin headquarters that he had up in space. So Magneto took a hold of that.
So that wasn't Asteroid M?
No, it was something different.
Okay.
Yeah. And then because eventually Avalon later crashes down,
Yeah.
and then in the Morrison run they find Asteroid M again.
Okay, that's
up
right.
in space.
That's right.
It's amazing that I can keep this shit together in my head. Jesus. And if anybody says the X-Men universe is not confusing,
Oh my God.
yikes.
You need to get a job at Marvel or DC as some kind of editor guy.
You need to kill Tom Brevoort and take over
Yeah,
his
really.
job.
So that's X-Force. Stuff happened.
Just send him to another dimension. Be
You
more
know, kill
appropriate.
him, right?
Yeah, throw him through the negative zone or something.
Then we go to Uncanny X-Men 304, and we see that Fabian Cortez is trying to attack Magneto. Exodus stops the team from hurting him, and basically they're gearing up for some kind of like major confrontation. So Magneto comes to the X-Men once again, and he comes to him during the funeral of Ilyana Rasputin because Colossus, she died of the legacy virus.
I think she was the first to die of it.
I think so, yeah. And they're all at the funeral. I can remember that John Romita Jr. artwork drawn, and Colossus goes. He goes, you know what? I'm going with Magneto. He's by this point he's kind of frustrated by Xavier's dreams and
because they keep preaching peace and work with them, and he's just like, no, if they can do this to kill my sister,
right,
I'm gonna start being reactive, proactive, not reactive.
Do you want to know what he says? Colossus says, "What I'm saying, Magneto, is that if you'll have me, I would like to join your chosen plight." Then there is nothing left for me here. And Magneto says, there is nothing left here for any of us. Welcome to the fold, Peter. Welcome to the future.
Yeah,
there's nothing left for me here.
I was going to do that, but I want to really screw it up.
There's nothing left.
I have no choice. Here. Must go do different things.
Son of beat shit.
It was great because like they're having this argument and they're ready to like attack Magneto, and out of nowhere Colossus I forget who he hits, but he just totally wipes out one of the X-Men. And says, you know what? That's it. I'm going with that. And I thought it was an interesting choice at the time.
That was a good twist.
Yeah, it was something different. It made the Acolytes. It gave them a connection. Like I wanted to see what they were about because he was up there.
Well, and that was the whole thing with Peter's character with Colossus. He was always the pacifist. He was always looking for the peaceful solution to everything, which always melded in with Xavier's teaching. That you found the peaceful way rather than the violent way, which was Magneto, and to have him give up on the dream, that was your big grab there, and it was effective. I will say of everything they did and all those, it was effective to see, because I've said Colossus is one of my favorite characters, and just to see him finally take that stand, and you almost took the stand with him and said, yeah. Damn it, Magneto's right this time.
Right.
You gotta stop being, the pussies and start, kicking some ass. And so that's what made that for me such a powerful story.
And it was it's going to be interesting to see this new X-Men movie too, because it's sort of the same thing where Magneto's building his army, and you always know that whatever he does, it's not really going to come to he's not really. They can't change the X-Men universe so much that Magneto takes over. But it still was an interesting premise. Magneto had his version of the X-Men, and not all of them were. I almost wish they would have given them their own books. I mean, I know we said there's too many X books, but they had their own dynamic in the Acolytes, where you couldn't trust all of them either. And some people followed Magneto. Some people followed Fabian Cortez. Amelia Voigt was a great character because she was always you didn't know where she stood because she had history with Xavier, and then you had Colossus, who I thought it was neat. That was a neat kind of twist. So at the end of that issue, Xavier pushes them off, and they go back to their base, and then in X-Men 25 we get a continuation of this story, and Xavier and all of his people get onto the Avalon. They send all the acolytes away. Basically, they're going back to go get Colossus. They think he's making a mistake, and so they're just going to go do that. But it doesn't. There's nothing. They can't do anything. Wolverine. This is where Wolverine gets all of his adamantium just sucked right out of his body.
That was actually pretty graphic too.
Yeah, it was.
I stopped reading the X books by this time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had enough.
They don't get Colossus back, and Xavier finally gets some balls and just totally whacks Magneto with a telepathic whammy, and disrupts his mind basically. Yeah. And they leave with Wolverine and the X-Men leave without Colossus, and Magneto's left on the base in a vegetative state with Colossus. And this, I guess we might as well just go right to Wolverine, because that's really where the meat and potatoes comes, where you find out he's all crazy. I mean, he's like flipping out because he's got so much body trauma, and so much pain, and they take him down to the X Mansion, and then a couple weeks go by, or maybe a week or something like that, and he for some reason pops his claws for the first time, and out come the bones.
Bone spikes.
The bone spikes. Clunk.
Which during some of the stories after that would stop anything and cut through stuff, and I'm like, yeah, not bone.
Yeah.
That is where I said enough.
Really?
That honestly, I was so pissed off that they did that, because to me, if you want to make this character interesting, then don't have his claws. Don't give him claws. That makes him interesting. That was the whole thing I loved about it when they had, they had the Marvel Handbook, and they showed how they had put the claws in, where the claws went, and how it was, they had built this into him, and he was a killing machine, because, it was all the Berserker rage. He would just go crazy, and these guys put the claws in just to add extra to it. But to give him bone claws, that was just
I never understood how
freaking lame.
The whole time he was all bone. He didn't break one of those things off or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So it just, I read that, I was just like, nope, that's it. And this is honestly one of the places I stopped reading X-Men. I would browse through them just so I would know what was going on. So if that one Uber geek came in and wanted to talk X-Men with me, I could keep up enough of the conversation. But that was just where I just said, no, enough. You've dragged me along too far.
And I liked when he got his adamantium ripped out. That I really did enjoy. But like you said, I was very disappointed when the bone spikes came out.
I don't think anybody saw that coming, that they were going to do that. Like the adamantium ripped out, fine. That I could see that happening.
Oh yeah.
But when the bone claws came out, it was like, what? It really was like a what the F moment. Like, what? But I mean, I guess if they are, say we're okay with it or whatever. If he still has his healing powers, I mean, bone is part of his body. So if they did break, wouldn't they just come back again?
I never thought
I guess
about it
they
like
would
that.
heal, but still, to see him like cut through a steel wall or something, I think he did a few times. That's a little bit. I don't buy that.
But I'm with you, Jamie. I didn't buy X-Men for years after that. I mean, what the hell year is this we're talking?
93?
Yeah. Oh my God. I probably didn't buy X-Men till like 98 or 97 or something like that.
God, I'm the nut that stayed with it.
No, I stayed with it for quite a while
yeah.
after that.
No,
I didn't buy Wolverine, but I stayed with X-Men.
I would look at it, and every once in a while, if like when Alan Davis took over for a little bit,
Yeah, I read a little bit of that run.
because I love, the couple times he took over, I love his artwork. I pretty much go wherever he goes. And so I'll pick it up, and as soon as that 6th issue would come around, he'd leave. Then I'd be right out the door with him. It wasn't anything to keep me there. And I know that a lot of stuff happened after 75. And I would maybe come back for the big 300 or the big anniversary issue. I think when eventually they put his adamantium back, I came for that one to see how they did it.
They teased you a bunch of times with that too, which was
yeah.
pisser.
Yeah, and but no, honestly, that was the point where I just said, enough. You've taken me too far. I can suspend disbelief only so far. Then you've gotta. I mean, if you've told me for all these years that this was put in by somebody, you've given me books showing that this was put in by, Weapon X, and he got these claws. Then if you're going to have the balls to take away the adamantium out of his system, then take away the claws, because that is what made that is what made him cool. And if you're going to have the balls to do it, then go all the way and just make him a guy who had this healing factor, who had no identity then, and then he would have to go out and look for it. And to me, eventually, I knew he was going to get the adamantium back.
Sure.
Oh,
you knew he'd be back to Wolverine. But wouldn't that have made, to me, a more interesting story of a man who had his identity was the claws and the adamantium, and now he has none of that, and all he has
carried knives.
I still got my bone spikes. Be afraid.
Because now he still has his spikes. He can still be super badass killer, and nothing. I mean, other than the fact that he's not indestructible now. His bones aren't indestructible. They still amped up the healing factor to the point where, you had to blow him up and burn him and vaporize him. Even if there was one molecule left, he was going to build a body. A body would build back around him. And I don't know. That's
but
just,
even then, after Sabretooth got the adamantium into him, it was silly that him and Wolverine would fight, and he wouldn't get hurt really. Like,
Well,
I know the healing factor, but But like, you just slice those claws off. I mean, there would be like no stopping him.
Well, then they put him in this whole thing where he was feral. Remember when he was like kind of a monster, grotesque?
Yeah.
Like he got mutated even further. I forget how he did that, but I mean, it took years before he got the adamantium back. So I mean,
at least that.
At least they did that. But yeah, the bone claws would have. Yeah, that's kind of
that was pitiful.
And that's just my 2 cents. And
Sure.
I've always that's just always been the way I felt. You can ask Scott Powers that he'll back me up on that. He'll back my story up. I was so pissed when they did that. I was just like, that's
were you in the store and went down and like threw the issue up in the air or anything?
No, not quite along that. But
I was working at the store at the time. I remember.
Yeah, it was just along lines of this is ridiculous. This is the dumbest thing they've done. Enough.
I remember there were news reports all over. Maybe I don't know, Wizard or some I don't know whatever magazine was out during that time about
Hero
the adamantium. Yeah, about the adamantium, but the bone claws was a complete surprise. So then we go to part 6, which was the Excalibur 71. And this whole story was basically, again, they were trying to bait Colossus to get down, to come back from the Acolytes. He had suffered an injury before, so he was stuck in his Colossus form. Like if he would change back, he'd have like a head injury or something like that. So they wanted to.
Head.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
He'd have no head.
They wanted to heal him, so they lured him by having Kitty. Basically wanted to talk to him and
yeah, she wanted to talk.
Yeah, and he comes back. They capture him and they heal him, but he decides to go back to Magneto anyway. So the fallout from a lot of this, this pretty much leads into like the Blood Ties crossover, which we'll talk about at a later time. Colossus tried to be kind of like the. I don't know. He didn't. Not that he wanted to preach pacifism with the Acolytes, but he wanted to give them maybe even a third alternative way to look at everything. Excuse me. Magneto stayed a vegetable for a while, and then that Joseph character showed up, and everybody thought that was Magneto, and then it turned out that wasn't Magneto.
It was supposed to be a younger Magneto too.
Right.
Wasn't
He
Joseph?
came back and he was younger, and it actually during the Alan Davis X-Men run, they explain it where it actually was a clone of Magneto or something like that from that one villain, and it was all.
There's a hell of a lot of
Probably
clones
why I
in
stopped
Marvel.
reading the Alan Davis run too.
Yeah.
Sucked.
Well, what happened was Astra, I think her name is. She was revealed to be one of the original Brotherhood of Evil Mutants from way back, but never was around. You didn't really see her behind the scenes. Blah blah blah. She also wanted to take
Her membership
Magneto's-
ran out, and she didn't.
Yeah.
She didn't pay her dues.
Yes, so they kicked her out for a little bit, but she was there.
So what else? Wolverine didn't have his. It took issue 145 was when he got his adamantium back from issue 75 to 145, and of course the other big thing when Xavier took away Magneto's mind. This was the whole setup and premise for the eventual for Onslaught later on, because the whole idea was that a piece of Magneto came into Xavier and made him go woo crazy. That's where you get
Stupid.
That's where you get the whole Onslaught thing. The Onslaught character was supposed to be Xavier gone bad,
But then they didn't want to do that. They
But-
pussied
right.
out of that, so they changed it to what Peter just said.
right? That it's
I never read any of that. I don't even know who. I never
read
knew who Onslaught
some
was.
of that.
I read.
I did not get
I
a
think
lot
I
of
read
it.
that because it was such a big event and it was going to lead into the Heroes Reborn universe. So I pretty much, kept up with that. But
we'll talk about that at a later one too, because that's a later event.
Am I wrong in thinking Marvel Legends is coming out with an Onslaught big figure that you buy all the pieces through
Really?
the different? I thought so. Maybe
and I just
maybe that was in the plans and it's not going to happen now with the changeover. But I thought that was still coming out. Maybe.
I just read somewhere, and I can't remember where I read where they're possibly bringing back Rob Liefeld to do an anniversary for Heroes Reborn,
oh, thank God.
and maybe even do some like a 5th week event kind of thing or
Do
something.
they learn from mistakes?
They sell
now-
issues. Sell. Look at those Teen
No,
Titans.
those issues. Well,
Is-
all
is
right, I
Joe
did buy the
Quesada
Teen
smoking
Titans.
The X-Force, when he redid that, they
Didn't
sold.
buy them.
But they sold.
But-
Somebody's buying them.
That Heroes Reborn, I bought the Iron Man and Fantastic
I bought
Four,
all those
but I didn't
stupid
buy the other
books.
crap. There's no way I bought.
I still got 2 issues of Captain America sitting
Nope.
in my
I
thing.
didn't.
Nope.
I didn't buy a single Heroes Reborn. Not
And Avengers.
not one
I liked
single
Fantastic
thing.
Four and Iron Man. That it was really. I wish they would have kept that.
I didn't even
a
know what was
little
going
longer.
on. That was like the time when I was buying, like, Gru, and
More Gru.
I don't even remember. Like, I was buying like about 3 comics. I didn't read previews. I didn't read the internet. I didn't like hang out in the shop. I went in, bought my couple of comics, and left for like a year or so. I did that. It was like right, and then I broke up with my ex-fiance, and then I was like, hey, I'm a comic geek again.
I can be who I actually am.
Yeah, so that was right, and that was short, because Heroes Reborn was 96, right?
I think so.
And I broke up with that girl in 97, so then I was back in the game, you know.
I will buy Avengers comics until I'm a little old man sitting in a chair with a catheter and just can't move anything.
In your tidy whities?
Yep. Can't move anything but my eyeballs. I have to have a monkey turning the pages of the comic. I will buy Avengers. I will never buy a copy of Avengers by Rob Liefeld. I just will not.
Aww.
I started buying them when he left and Walt Simonson came on. I think it was Simonson came on. I started buying them then. Anything that his hands touched as far as Avengers, I would not, because I paid through that first issue and I vomited.
When you're sitting there with your catheter, I'm going to stick those issues in front of your eyes. I'm going to make you force you to read.
And I'm going to make the monkey kill you.
He's going to make a look at the monkey like go to the left. Monkey go ballistic.
A big monkey knife to come out.
So the next 2 that we'll talk about later will be Blood Ties, which is, like we said, let out right out of this, and we'll touch briefly on Phalanx Covenant, which introduced the Generation X characters.
Which actually sounds a lot dirtier than it was.
And all X-Men one.
Stump the Rio, stump the Rio, stump the
All right. This one's from David D. He actually sent it back in October.
Oh.
And somehow I missed it, so I'm reading it now.
They should have an expiration date.
Question 1, Marvel, who killed Cypher?
Cypher. Cypher's Douglock, right? Doug.
I know who did it in The Matrix.
If I get it right, I think we might have had this before. The animator.
Yes.
I think we might have, from the Fall of the Mutants, right?
Yes.
I think we might have, read the next one. I think we might have done this one.
Oh, maybe.
What's the next question?
Oh, I think we did do this one. Yeah. Wow, I never unchecked it. DC, in the publishing bubble of the early 90s, there were 5 Justice League titles being published simultaneously.
Yeah,
we did that.
Yeah, we had
all
this
right.
one. Because I got that first one wrong. That's the only reason why I remember it.
All right. Back to the selection here.
Take 2.
He's already up 1-0.
Jesus, what the hell? Did I really?
Did that count?
Oh, that's... I know I didn't ask that one. Hang on, bear with me, people.
Change
I
my bottles of
apologize.
agua.
Stump the Rio,
Stump the Rio, stump, da da da, stump.
I actually the remember the voicemail we got way back from Chris. She was talking about how to chat up comic female geeks in store.
Yeah.
She on Mer Lafferty's Geek Food Action Grip, she sent in an audio clip there.
Okay.
And I recognized the voice, and I was like, is that okay? So I sent an email because she's going to start a podcast later, and she has a website, blah blah blah. And she wrote back, and she said, is this the famous Peter Stump the Rios? It just made me laugh. I was like, oh god, that's...
At least you didn't say, is this the famous Peter the Stump Rio?
Yeah, there you go.
Peter Stumpy Rios.
Hey Stumpy, how's it going?
Here's an audio one from Christopher Gallo.
Okay.
Hey guys,
Did we do this
Chris
one too?
here with my very first attempt at a Stump the Rios.
Wait, if it asks who
All my
Peter
questions
Parker's
are Marvel questions.
parents' real name is,
Sorry, Peter,
Fitzpatrick.
but what can you expect
I
from a
kinda
guy
remember
who
that.
goes on a forum by the name of Webhead?
I think we did hear
I think
this.
we did that.
Time for the
Son of a
questions.
bitch.
My first question is a Spider-Man question. Peter Parker's parents were Richard and Mary Parker. What was Mary Parker's maiden?
Oh, for God's
All
sake.
right, well now Peter's 2 up.
one more and I'm done.
It's a scene of crime.
I don't know why I don't uncheck. these. It's weird.
I have this song on my iPod, and I play it in the car for the kids, and I have Ben and Matt both strapped into their car seats, and they're bopping their heads back and forth, and Ben's like, can I hear Spider-Man? Can I hear Spider-Man? I put on Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
Get 'em young.
Yep.
All right, here's one from Mick Ryan in China.
It was
I'm
sent
pretty
yesterday.
sure it didn't read this one. Number 1, in the Rampaging Hulk, what was the name of the alien invaders that he fought in the first few issues in the long-running story?
Yeah,
Those bad guys.
The Badoon.
As incorrect. It's the Krylorians from the planet Krylor.
Of course. What other planet would they be from?
In Warren Comics' The Rook, what was the name of his gentlemanly sidekick robot?
Bishop.
It's incorrect. It's Manners.
That kind of
Question
makes
number
sense, at
3. What was the name of the Red Sonja-like character that Frank Thorne wrote and drew for Warren's 1984 and subsequently 1994?
Where's the DC question? Red Sonja-like character that he wrote for Warren.
least. Pinky Tuscadero.
Wait a minute here. Huh. Red Sonja... Whew.
I know as soon as I hear it, I'm going to remember it, but I can't remember it right now.
For Warren is the when they did Vampirella and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
okay.
was the horror comics and all that.
Huh. Phew. I have no idea. She-Ra.
Gita.
Gita.
I did not remember.
Got the right.
You got to send something to China now.
Jeez.
Yeah, he sent something to us, so yeah, send it back now.
Where's my DC question? That was a Marvel and a
Two
independent and
indies.
independent. Oh, wow. I got blasted.
Let me uncheck it.
Krylorians.
From Krylor.
I never even heard of the Rook. Did you hear of the Rook?
Yes.
Ever heard of that Rook?
Nope.
Yes, I have.
All right. So what was his name?
It's Mick Ryan.
Mick Ryan. All right.
Meg
He
Ryan?
sent me some stamps from China
Okay.
Meg Ryan?
and
What?
a postcard.
So I got some great stamps that I'm going to be sending.
Got a whole bunch of stamps and a
Some
postcard.
really nice
From
Chinese stamps.
Hope you like them.
Woo. Cool.
We'll send him some anime or manga.
Oh,
Something he can't get over there.
All that stuff from the con given out.
Yeah. All those Korean. Those
Should we
Korean
do
books
a
of samples?
Hey, call me.
Yes.
On the line.
Haven't done
we'll,
that.
We'll go back to some people who we tried to call before but never got in touch with.
Okay.
Assuming that I've unchecked them like
We'll call him again.
like I'm supposed to. Let's try this one here. This guy's name is Michael Schwartz.
The Schwartz.
It sounds like I think we probably called him, but we didn't.
Tried
get him.
to get a hold of him.
The Schwartz is with you.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
But then I immediately go into Spaceballs the Flamethrower.
Baseball's the yogurt.
The yogurt?
That's right.
I don't remember that.
No, Spaceballs lunchbox.
Oh.
There's cereal too. I think. Reading.
Hello?
Hello, Michael.
Yes.
Hey, this is Comic Geek Speak.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How
How
are
you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, not
Hello.
too bad. I saw the blocked ID on my phone. I said maybe it's them.
It is.
What are you up to?
We just finished watching Scrubs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And there's this teacher show on, but it looks pretty dumb. So I was just about to go to the drawing board. Actually, I was gonna do something for the Cosmic Fan Art Challenge. I was gonna draw Ego the Living Planet for Jamie.
Very awesome.
Very cool.
Nice. So do you draw, or is that just a hobby that you'd have, or you have a...
Well, no, I'm a graphic designer.
Oh, okay.
I did that Galactus vs. Anti-Monitor.
Oh,
your
there
Green
you go.
Skeleton. Right? Your Green Skeleton?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay, we got your Fantastic Four starter deck coming out to you.
Oh, okay, great.
It's only been 4 or 5 weeks. That's
Months.
Yeah, no, that's no problem.
right. I love that image. I actually wanted to pull that and try to color that. I wanted to put my, try to see if I could do some coloring.
Yeah, I know. It's something that I really would like to color, one of these days. That I did a little bit one day just to kind of see, and it really starts to stand out, when you start filling everything in.
Sure.
Maybe if Maury, would take a stab at that'd be cool, but I know he's probably busy.
That was a hell of an image, though. That is worthy
that
of
was.
color,
Oh,
for
thanks.
sure.
It got my vote. That's why.
Absolutely.
Of course, after you work on Ego, we just announced the new one, which is your favorite Rob Liefeld character.
Oh, so Shatterstar?
What's that?
I'll go with Shatterstar from X-Force.
Oh, there
Is
you
that
go.
his name?
Yeah.
Where his sword was actually 2 blades in one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Two blades in
I
one.
was just thinking that.
So this episode won't air till Monday, so you can't give out the secret yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hush, hush.
All right. Or maybe I'll draw Shaft with his bow with no string.
There you go.
You guys go Shaft versus the Richard Roundtree Shaft.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's an idea.
So what do you
What
read?
do you guys talk about today?
Oh, we talked about some more Marvel events. We talked about Executioner Song, and we talked about Fatal Attractions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I listened to last episode where he talked about the Infinity stuff, and I read Infinity War, which, man, it was so long since I read that, but I remember I really liked the Spider-Man clone with the 8 arms or whatever.
The doppelganger.
That seemed to be a popular character.
Yeah. And Executioner's Song, I did get wrapped up in that, but I didn't understand a word. Even when I was reading it back then, it wasn't something that I, read and then looked back a few years later. It's like, wow, that's a piece of crap. I mean, I didn't really like it, but I had to get it because they're bagged and they had those collector's cards too.
That's exactly what we said.
All got
For some
wrapped
reason.
in that.
It's good to know that we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
It's amazing comics survived.
Yeah. What about Fatal Attractions when Wolverine got his adamantium sucked out of him and he had the bone claws? Do you remember reading that?
I didn't read that when it came out. I do have that issue. I think I bought it a few years after the fact at like Toys R Us, where they had some bagged comics. There was like a few, maybe like 3 or 5 for so much. I think I got it that way. But I didn't read it when it came out. I wasn't really. I think that's when I wasn't really into comics.
Every
at
now and
that
then
time.
I see them at Toys R Us where they have like 5 or 6 bagged together and they have them for sale.
Yeah, and they usually have one interesting one on the outside, and then the middle 5 are like Punisher War Journal
Dark
32
Hawk. Dark
and
Hawk.
Quasar.
There was a Doctor Who one in one of them.
yeah.
So what are you reading nowadays? What's your go-to book?
Definitely Marvel Team Up. I can't thank you guys enough. I know you probably hear this all the time, but man, I love that. The League of Losers, I just finished that up, and that was great because I used to read Darkhawk and Sleepwalker, and I know they're kind of corny, but it was kind of cool seeing them used as a team. And what else? It's been a few weeks since I've been to a shop. I did pick up the Detective 1 year later,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't read Batman in a long time, but I think I might pick up a few more. I thought that was pretty cool.
Definitely get the second part of that. It's very good.
Is that out?
Yep, it came out
Last week.
Last week. It was Batman. Initial
Oh,
Batman.
okay. And boy, most of my reading time was taking up reading It's Superman. I finally read that.
Oh, cool.
What'd you think of that?
I loved it. I thought it was so good. I went back and listened to your interview with Tom DeHaven to remember what he said about a possible sequel, and said something about if it happens, he'd put it in the 50s when Superman's like 40.
Yeah.
and see how that goes. But no, I really enjoyed it. I'm not the biggest Superman fan, but that really got me into it. I love that it was in, as a period piece in the 30s, because it really makes him stand out more than modern day, and when everyone has superpowers. Here,
Right.
the first one, something like that's never happened before, and mixing with the history with FDR, and
if you're a fan of Smallville, I mean, it's a totally different time period, but it's not about the cape and the tights, and it's not about even these massive super feats. I mean, he really doesn't become Superman until later, much later in the book. So it really is about the development and the relationship between these characters, and so you can read it if you're afraid that it's too super. It's not. There's a definite story to it.
Yeah. I like how he described when he was developing his powers, like when with his heat vision, how he said like his eyes felt gummy after he used it, and then it would go away. Just that little description is like, wow, really kind of puts you in his shoes as far as him discovering his powers, like what he can do, and him, almost being afraid of, what is there a limit to his power? Can he get hurt? Can he die? Just these things that would normally cross anyone's mind, and I liked it, and Lex Luthor was really cool in there too, and
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great book. I think when they finally do get to the action, it's also told, you don't get, unless you read novels of Superman, you don't get that much into his brain or what happens to him. It's very well done, very faithful, and I think it's a great resource if you're especially if you're a Golden Age fan. And you just want to. You don't have to take it as canon. Just take it for a good story pre-Action Comics #1, leading into Action Comics #1, and it really is. It's just phenomenal.
Right. Yeah, and you can't go wrong with the big, the cube robots, like the old style robots. Kind of reminds me of that the Fleischer cartoon where he's fighting all those old robots.
Yep. Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you on. Glad you were home. Glad we were able to give you a call.
Yeah, I know, yeah. you did try calling me, I think, back in December, and I missed it, just like most people that you try and call. But I'm glad I was home. I'm glad I picked up.
And where are we calling? Where are you at?
I'm in Clinton Township, Michigan, just north of Detroit.
Are you going to any cons?
Well, there's the Motor City Comic Con coming up May. I think it's like May 21st, but that's a week before my wedding, so I don't know if I'll be able to make that.
Oh, well, congratulations!
Bachelor party at the Motor City Comic Con. Bachelor party,
Although George Perez is going to be there, so who knows?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And I think Jim Steranko is going to be there too.
See, your wife can't argue about that. She can argue about strippers. She can't argue about the Motor City Comic Con.
Good point. I'll tell her that.
Tell her Brian said that.
Okay.
All right. Well, have a good night, and thanks for being home.
All right. Thanks for calling.
And we look forward to seeing that ego.
Yep.
Okay. Will
Definitely.
do.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Cool.
I do look forward to seeing Ego, actually, and because his other drawing was so good, I wonder what else he's got up his sleeve. I have a few voicemails. Do we want to hear those?
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
All right, F you too. All right, hang up.
That was great.
That was quick and done.
He didn't want to hear it either.
That's our new mantra right there.
There's that telemarketer that called us.
All right, do we get another one?
Hey guys, it's Joe, otherwise known as Soda, on the forum. Speaking of the forum, I posted this a couple days ago. Thought it was so funny, had to leave you a voicemail about it. Brian, here's why I don't rely just on previews for my orders. I went down to my local comic shop and to pick up my Saturday, or actually Wednesday's worth of junk, and started talking to my local comic shop owner, and I asked him, hey, are you going to maybe do some sort of package deal for 52 when that comes out? Like, could I pay for the whole thing in advance to get a price break? And he looked at me like he had two heads. 52? What do you mean? I don't know anything about that. Like, how could you not? 52? It's coming out in May? And his reply is, well, hang on, let me get my previews. Well, naturally, his previews only goes up to April, so there was nothing about it in there. That's all this guy orders from. He doesn't know about anything else unless it's in previews. So I asked him, why? How can you not know about this? It's huge. I said there was a huge article about it in Wizard. And his reply is, well, I don't read Wizard because I just take it with a big grain of salt. So, when you were wondering why people don't rely just on previews, that's why. Because if I look at Wizard or listen to CGS, I can find out things that are coming out like 6 months in advance. So, anyway, I thought it was entertaining because honestly, the guy owns the comic shop. I don't even think he reads them. So, anyway, keep up the good work, guys, and I'll see you in the Windy City. Bye.
Wow. Jeez. That's a pretty oblivious retailer right there.
Yeah.
Don't you get other stuff other than previews, though? Don't comic stores get, like, some kind of diamond preview thing or previews for your
newsletter
previews?
or something that
newsletter,
comes out.
something.
Well, they get
Retail publisher incentive things.
Diamond. There are a couple different books that comic shops get. Now, I don't know if they still get these or not. I know for a while there was a magazine called Comics Retailer, which was just that. It was a book about retailing. They had all kinds of different articles. Brian Hibbs actually had a tilting at windmills column in there. A whole bunch of different columns, all about different. Bo Smith had a column in there for a while, all about different aspects of running a store. You know, whether it be price point, your computers, price point in computing. How to rack your books, how to do this, and then in that book they would also have wow, my brain has turned itself off
Exactly.
already. Time to go to bed. Surveys about what was selling. You could see the top 5 books. You could see their bottom 5 books. It gave you an idea on what is selling in different areas, so you know what to order and stuff like that. So that was Comic Book Retailer. Diamond itself, when you get your previews, Diamond sends each store their own like special version of previews with like, of course, all the prices in it. They also send them another magazine called Diamond. Well, weekly they get Diamond Dateline, and then there is also a monthly Diamond Dateline, which has, again, features just about everything that's in the Diamond previews, but we'll put it into like a more concise form, so you don't have to go through the entire DC thing to see it, and things like that.
But nothing like no future stuff.
Not really. I mean, it's really I can't see how you can possibly stay in business and be oblivious to 52. I mean, that's like saying infinity what, or infinite what.
Yeah.
That just, as soon as he said that blew me away, because I would run away from that store. That store,
Yep.
That store would be a store I just, that's a joke store.
I'd go and put a big black mark on that window.
Even like in Fat Jack's in Philly, like when you walk into there, they have those black and white review copies that for future upcoming books. I assume they get them from the publishers, from DC. I mean, they were DC ones, DC black and white.
Yeah, that could be something that since Fat Jack's is as big as it is, maybe they have some connections with DC, because that's something you don't normally get. At times you would get some preview copies of some stuff, and they also have their Marvel and DC. I don't know if I know Marvel still does. I don't know about DC, but they had what they called their preview books, which each Wednesday they would bring out. They would send you a batch of books coming out next week. Marvel usually sent you everything. Right. DC, because they put out so much, would send you maybe 5 or 6 different books,
and then a bunch of covers, just plain covers.
At one time, they just did that. And now I know Golden Eagle, where we go to, they still get their Marvel books, because what they do is, and we've done this forever, what they do is they put them up on the wall behind the counter just so you can see them, so it gives you an idea.
Tease us.
And they
good idea.
They let you look through them too.
yeah.
I mean, if you want to look through them, you just say, "Hey, can I see that?" Boom, they'll grab it, or you can sit there
I
and
don't
look
ask.
at it.
I just take it.
Well, yeah, neither do I. I just behind the counter and get what I want. But so that's again, but that's one of the things that they do to help promote. But as far as like black and white preview copies, that was very rare. So
Okay.
so he must have a connection somewhere at DC where they send him stuff like that. I'm sure if any store would call DC and start talking to some people, I'm sure they could probably get put on something like that.
I wonder if that is one area where not having the CBG Weekly kind of disrupts retailers a little bit. Like, I wonder if they were getting
This
their
guy
news from
wouldn't be
there.
reading
No.
CBG even
No,
if he
if you-
had.
Well, I mean, if you take Wizard for with a grain of salt, maybe he trusted something else. Maybe CBG was the one, but now it's monthly. So, I mean, at least weekly, it was almost like a newspaper. It was like the comic.
Well,
newspaper.
it was a
was.
newspaper.
Yeah, it was.
But still, they didn't.
Not that it was
I don't know how to
geared,
put
not
this.
that it was geared for
They
retailers.
didn't really
but at
have
least-
anything in CBG you didn't find out in Wizard that next month, or even the month before it came out in CBG. CBG was on top of things. You might find out something 2 or 3 weeks before Wizard had it in their book. But I've always found when it was coming out weekly, I wasn't getting much news that I didn't already get in Wizard. So something like 52, that he can sit here in April and he doesn't know in May 52 is coming out. This is just a guy who's oblivious to to the
Well,
world
I do
around
think the voicemail we probably got a while back, probably. Right? That voicemail was probably for a couple weeks back, maybe.
Well, he said he says
yeah.
previews went up to April, so that he must have had the February previews.
In February or March, yeah. February. Yeah, February.
Because this new one is the one that had 52 in it. So that was for May.
But still didn't know nothing about it.
We got
That's
another
crazy.
voicemail.
I mean, because there's stuff in there that they talk about 52.
Yeah,
Before that.
it's crazy.
Hey, Geek crew. My name's Brian. I'm Sandman on the forum, and I'm calling you from Bowling Green, Ohio. Now, I was calling in today with just a little bit of a comic book rant on the Teen Titans Outsiders, The Death and Return of Donna Troy trade paperback. As I'm reading this book, it's a decent read, but it came up upon something that I thought was kind of unusual. And I hate if this is going to be a big spoiler surprise, but towards the end of this book, as these Titans of Myth are revealing what their real plan is, we find out that on this planet, they have this portal, a gateway into the multiverse. And I thought that seemed weird since at this point there isn't a multiverse. So how could there be a gateway to something that doesn't exist? I know I posted this question on the forums, and Peter had given one reply about it, saying that this planet, Minosis, is a nexus zone for cross-dimensional travel, but the word multiverse wasn't used. Well, I was reading through this, and towards the end, Hyperion, the leader of the Titans of Myth, does in fact say that it is a nexus point to what was once the multiverse. So again, how can you have this gateway to a multiverse that doesn't exist? And this story took place before the events of Infinite Crisis number 4, so what we see happen at the end of there doesn't come into effect yet. And, I'd also have, on the same sort of note, I had to wonder, where do these Titans of Myth think that they're going to escape to when, in effect, there shouldn't be any alternate universes for them to travel to when there isn't a multiverse to begin with. So, I don't know. I guess that's just a small writing inconsistency that I saw. I thought this book was decent in general, but I don't think it was quite as well planned as it should have been, and it seemed like some of the writing became a little too convenient to sort of force things to come together and tie into Infinite Crisis.
but that was just my little 2 cents. Thanks, guys. Keep up the podcast. It's been great. Talk to you later. Bye.
That one is certainly my least favorite story or miniseries out of Infinite Crisis prequel stuff.
I have to read it again because I did ask him. I said I wanted to know if he did use multiverse, the word multiverse.
Yeah.
But didn't he answer this question in what he just said, that this used to be a portal to the multiverses?
Oh,
And just assuming that
he said it used to be,
that the
as in
myths knew it.
It doesn't work anymore, and they just happen to know that this was a portal to those different, multiverses.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't Hypertime cover a multiverse?
That's what I was going to say. I mean, again, this is without me reading it, but it was kind of like, well, maybe that's why this is, because they were amping up this planet as being so important.
Uh-huh.
Well, maybe the reason why it was important because it is the one place left over from the Crisis that you could go to the multiverse. Yeah. Sort of like at the end of Crisis, the original Crisis, where Alexander and all them disappeared somewhere, and it was kind of like, it was a very kind of like convenient escape so they wouldn't get destroyed, but maybe,
by the way, I made this for you type deal.
Exactly. Like, and this was the one leftover, just like Power Girl's the one leftover, so I thought maybe it was that too. I'd have to read it again because I'm not really, but you're probably right. And all those miniseries, it was the last issue that connected, in one way or another, connected to Infinite Crisis. So maybe this was their way of connecting.
And maybe eventually this planet will, because did it get destroyed?
I don't think it got destroyed. It just, I think they just, she went away. She found out that,
satellite.
She found out a new thing was going to happen, the whole rift in space.
So maybe this will be the one point, if they come back and make a multiverse, that this will be the one point,
the way to get there.
The way to get
the
to
gateway
that
for forever.
The Guardian Forever.
So I have to read it again.
All right, we have one last voicemail here.
Hey, Geeks, it's Corey Strode, also Solitaire Rose on the forum. Just listened to episode 107, and I have to make a minor correction. You said that the Wildstorm and Extreme Studios versions of the Marvel characters were supposed to be ongoing. They were not. They were a simple one-year contract. It was a special story. They were going to move the characters away for a year and then bring them back after that year to kind of generate some buzz. They did a 13th issue because it had sold so well. They wanted to do just one more to kind of bring in the Wildstorm characters and do another one of those big cross-company crossovers that were so big in the 90s. I hope that clears up a few things. Love the show. You get me through my workout. Thanks. Bye-bye.
I could have sworn they hyped it up as they were going to be continuous.
It was. I think it was one of those. He's right. They signed him for a year, but I honestly believe had they sold well and had the reaction to them been better than it was, they probably would have signed him for another year. As long as it was going to sell, they were going to keep doing it. And I think those extra issues were just their way of, fulfilling that. The contracts. I'm sure they probably had somewhere where they said that they could do that and do a crossover like that just to fulfill a contract. But
because did any of the originals stick? Did Will Sportacio stick with Iron Man? Did Jim Lee stick with Fantastic Four by issue 12?
No, I think just about everybody was gone by that time.
Yep.
They had changed all the creative teams, and like I said, had it sold well, had the reaction to it been better than it was, it would have stayed. There's no doubt in my mind. Because Marvel's a whore, and they'll do whatever. They'll do whatever sells. It's DC's a whore too. DC will do whatever it takes.
Crisis
to
on
keep
every
it
title.
sold.
Did it sell?
Marvel's a whore. DC's a hooah.
So it's just everybody's pimping everything.
All right. The end.
Thank God for Marvel Knights then. Thank God that lasted. The idea behind it was better.
Oh, thank God for the new universe. Yes, that was such a great.
I think we're done.
Okay. This episode is sponsored by Wild Pig Comics. WildPigComics.com, 50% off, 24-hour sale. From noon on Saturday, April 8th to noon on Sunday, April 9th. You can go to 14 South Michigan Avenue in Kenilworth, New Jersey. Minutes from Route 22 East and the Garden State Parkway, exit 138. For more information, go to www.wildpigcomics.com. You can also call them 908-936-004 at 0004. And if you think you're heading out there, let us know. We'll maybe start a thread, or not a sticky because we got too many stickies, but just send a thread. We'll post on the forum and see who else is going to try to make it out there. All you Allentown people up there, you should be.
All you whoas. And to send us an email, it's comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. And our website is comicgeekspeak.com. And if you want to send us your own voicemail, it's 206-888-4805. That's right, it's 206-888-4805. Call now. Supplies are limited. Thanks to upallnightgaming.com for hosting our website. And we're begging you, please, April, vote for us at Podcast Alley. Get us to 500 votes in April. That's our goal. It's comicgeekspeak.com/vote. A reminder that we're brought to you in conjunction with worldfamouscomics.com, your spot on the internet for the best comic book and entertainment-related columns, contests, features, reviews, news, resources, and more. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.